Welcome to Ecclesia Principles, a biblical strategy for believers to engage in God's design for government with Ray Eppard.
Hello, good to talk to you again today. Our text is 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 11, where it says, "Now all these things happened to them as examples, and they were written for our admonition, upon whom the ends of the ages have come." The Old Testament stories are examples to us, and they admonish us to do things and to not do things. And with this, today I want to talk about Nehemiah, because so often when we look, especially to the Old Testament, we look for these deeper meanings. And that's fine. There are deeper meanings there. There's truth that we can plummet and dive into. But far too often, we're missing the forest for the trees. You see, Nehemiah was the head of a government project. So often we just think about it from the spiritual standpoint. Well, he was disturbed. If you read the beginning of the book of Nehemiah chapter 1, he was disturbed over the condition of his nation, of his homeland, of Jerusalem. You see, we as believers today, we should be disturbed over the condition of our nation. It should affect us. It should impact us. We should want to see it change. And just like Nehemiah, who approached the king, he approached the king. He had sadness that day. And he said he had never went into the presence of the king that way because he could be killed. But because Nehemiah was the cupbearer, which meant he tasted all the liquids before the king did to make sure the king wouldn't die. So I'm sure the king was a little soft-hearted toward him for that. And he asked him what the problem was. And he started talking to him about his homeland, about Jerusalem, about Israel. And at that point, the king assigned him to go back and rebuild the walls, to rebuild the city, to bring it and improve it. You see, Nehemiah had a government project that was assigned to him by the king. It was funded by the government. The king made provision for it. And you see, all of that is right there, but so often we're looking for all these other little things that we miss some of the truth. See, Nehemiah was a godly man. Nehemiah, God had a plan for his life. And his plan for his life was connected to his great concern. And his great concern was for his nation. You see, you may have a great concern for your nation. God's plan for your life, there will be a part of God's plan for your life that is tied to that great concern, just like Nehemiah. But so often, we only want to deal with what I call the redemptive mandate, preach the gospel to every creature, but we fail to keep the original mandate, which is to cultivate and protect the garden that God has given us. Our nation is a part of the garden that God has given us. Nehemiah understood that. He was concerned about the state of his nation, and he sought to do something. When the king asked him about it, Nehemiah just rattled off information. He had already developed a plan. He was ready for the moment. Those are lessons that we should learn. God has a plan for you. If you have a concern for the nation, you ought to start developing a plan for what could fix it, what could help, how you could be a part of that. And then let God open the doors. God bless you. Have a great day.
Follow us on YouTube and Facebook on our Ray Eppard pages. This program was brought to you by Victory Worship Center and World Outreach. Services Sunday 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock, 200 Hammond Lane, Stanton, Virginia.